Previously on Sage.
What series you want me to cover next? Do y'all want to see me cover Korra next?
Let's get it! No live action to ruin this shit. Let's fucking go!
We're in the Jazz Age. Excess modern development technology has led to a fall in traditional values and traditional spirituality. And pro bending is seen as just another step in that progression. It is seen as the pinnacle of that development. Something that I admittedly didn't give much credit towards until this rewatch of Korra was this cycle of abuse that Tarlok and Naman fell into. The level of control Yakone had over his kids even long after they managed to get away from him. Korra, I believe, is the only avatar that actually wanted the job. And it works phenomenally well in setting up the first season as, okay, you're in the real world now, you better get ready to handle some shit because you're the avatar now, you gotta be able to handle this. She immediately gets in over her head. The 100 Years War has finally come to an end. Avatar Aang and Fire Lord Zuko sought to heal the scars of war and create a world of peace and prosperity. However, in the time since Aang's passing, issues still remain. And it's time for a new avatar to take their place and restore balance to the world. Unless some man children got a problem with that, goddamn! What is good, folks, and welcome back to the RetroView. I told y'all Legend of Korra was coming. I told y'all we were gonna get around to it at some point.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all.
These reviews are going to be a bit different than my Last Airbender reviews. Korra isn't as character driven as Last Airbender was. Its cast doesn't have nearly as deep character arcs as the OG cast does. So for these, I'm focusing more so on Korra's arc as a whole and the overall themes of these seasons. Chapters are down below, y'all know where to look. But real quick, I want to thank y'all. I want to thank y'all. All 1,000 of y'all who subbed to this channel, I want to sincerely from the bottom of my heart thank y'all. We are on our way for world conquest, and I just want to thank y'all for being there every step of the way. And for those new folks who are coming in, I hope y'all enjoy the show. I hope y'all enjoy what's coming up. And if you do, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts about Legend of Korra as a whole, and be sure to sub to see some more from my channel. But for now, Sage, hit the title.
Long ago, the world was saved by one hero who could control all four elements.
Aang can save the world.
The real hero is the Avatar.
Now, the next Avatar is born.
I have to find my own path as the Avatar.
And a new adventure is about to begin.
Korra was somebody that loved the idea of being the Avatar. She loved the idea of going out into the world and stomping on bad guys. She dreamed of going out into Republic City and having the same sort of adventures that Aang had. Running away from home, she thought she was gonna waltz into Republic City as a hero, busting some mob boss heads like it's a Power Rangers episode. However, this is a world that has become much more jaded towards the idea of the Avatar, and this is a world that has much more complex issues than just going out and stomping some bad guys. She failed to understand or really sympathize where the Equalists were coming from. She only saw bending through a position of privilege. She's the Avatar, she's the strongest bender in the world, and most importantly, bending has something that's always come naturally to her. It's a source of pride for her.
What? I'm not oppressing anyone. You're oppressing yourself.
But she comes off as a cocky kid who has no real respect for bending as a discipline and only sees force as a way to solve her problems. This is the Avatar the world has to rely on. Aang at least always sought peaceful solutions and never struck first. Meanwhile, Korra was out here rushing headlong into situations without thinking, always running to violence first as a way to solve her problems. The fight against Amon really pulled all of Korra's early flaws to the surface, just how tone deaf and ignorant she is about the world around her, and her need to prove herself so much that she called Amon out for a fight. But the beauty of this season is, this is Korra's trial by fire, and from this fire she is going to be forged into a better avatar. The pressure of living up to Aang was something that was always going to hang over Korra's head, and in doing so, it created a complex within her. She had to be strong. She couldn't show fear because she's the Avatar. She has to have everything under control. But these people often forget the Avatar is still a person. Aang made mistakes. He was naive. He ran away because he was terrified of being the Avatar and tried to neglect his responsibilities until he saw the consequences of it. Korra, in contrast, rushes headlong into fights without thinking. She tries to act in control to cover up for the fact that deep down, she is terrified of Amon and the thought of him taking her bending away. Because without her bending, she'd be no one. She wouldn't be the Avatar. She wouldn't be special anymore. Her struggle with learning airbending was a particular sore spot for her. She has always been able to pick up bending rather easily, so her continuous struggle with a less combat-oriented bending style triggers a lot of insecurities within her. The Avatar is the master of all four elements, but if she can't master all four, what does that make her as an Avatar?
Good evening, my fellow equalists. This is your leader, Amon. As you have heard, the Republic Council has voted to make me public enemy #1, proving once again that the bending oppressors of this city will stop at nothing to quash our revolution. But we cannot be stopped. Our numbers grow stronger by the day. You no longer have to live in fear. The time has come for benders to experience fear.
The key conflict at the center of this season is the equality between benders and non-benders. On the surface, this is a fair conversation to have. This was something that was originally jabbed at by Sokka back in the day. It's a fair question to ask about, especially in an industrializing society. Where do non-benders sit in this growing class structure? The Equalists exist as a response to an ever-changing society. After 100 years of war, an industrial revolution that seemingly favors the skills that benders provide, and a growing underbelly of powerful bending crime lords, the non-benders of Republic City are calling for change, greater representation of their needs as a community. After all, they are policed by benders. The city is largely run by a council made up of benders. This feeling of unjust and underrepresentation led the people to fall into the arms of Amon, who promises them that benders will no longer have reign over their lives ever again. However, equality isn't really an argument that was adequately built up by the Equalists. You get the implications of bender gang violence in the very beginning, but this is a threat that was largely never really built upon past season 3. Then Amon took out Lightning Bolt Zolt and we never brought it up again. And after that, the closest thing to bender abuse we see is Counselor Tarlok's actions, but those are mostly in response specifically to Equalist actions. This lack of bender on non-bender violence makes Amon's argument feel all the more hollow, especially his central goal of equality. His intentions to make everyone equal feels like it's not coming from a place of mutual benefit. Because what would taking away the bending of people actually solve? This isn't like wealth that can be redistributed. Bending is a part of somebody, and taking that away, that creates a lot more societal problems. The world is literally built around bending. It's an important aspect of the world. A lot of electricity is being generated by lightning benders. And there's just this little aspect of Amon himself being a bender. His entire argument has the same central flaw as Madara's in Naruto. If you truly believe in your ideology, then your goal should affect you as well. Instead, your endgame is putting yourself above everybody else and centralizing all the power around you. Madara would be the only person on the planet not affected by infinite Tsukuyomi, and in the same way, Amon would be the only bender left in a world of non-benders. There's still a power imbalance here. The Equalists were an interesting idea, but they don't really have any long-term effects on Korra in terms of changing her outlook. She doesn't really consider the needs of non-benders any more than she normally would, and her losing her bending, while dramatic, was very short-lived and very easily undone. With the show focusing so much on Amon's origin and it being very inconsistent with his motives in practice, it really takes a lot of the sting away from the Equalists and really diffuses a lot of their arguments, or at least the arguments that Amon pretends to stand on. It really makes the Equalists feel like an afterthought when their entire motive gets shut down when their leader was revealed as a hypocrite. That's all it took. That is all it took for your revolution to be put down. It really feels like that this is telling us that the Equalists never really stood for true inequality or any justice amongst the people. They were just following a straw man and his seemingly valid arguments.
I thought I was better than my father, but his ghost still shaped me. I became a soldier of revenge, just like he wanted me to be.
You will claim Republic City, and you will destroy the Avatar. You must avenge me. That is your purpose in life.
And so did my brother.
All that being said, Amon and Tarlok both serve as appropriate antagonists for the season. Both philosophical reactions to Aang's actions, as Republic City was originally founded to be a cross-cultural hub where benders and non-benders can coexist together, and they act really well as literal reactions to Aang's actions. The two sons of a crime lord that Aang took down, that were raised to believe that power is everything, and with the power that they have, they can do whatever they want. Amon and Tarlok have the same motive of gaining control of Republic City, but they stand diametrically opposed to each other, their actions against one another only fueling their opposition even further. Amon's actions against the pro-bending finals led to Tarlok becoming chairman of the council and taking more radical actions against the Equalists, which in turn only played into Amon's hands and proving his point of bending abuses. And it's that irony, that sort of Greek tragedy, that really defines them as characters and makes them all the more interesting. They were both abused by their father, and they sought to create a world without such abuses, so that what happened to them can never happen to anybody else. But to accomplish that goal, they became the very thing that they despised. Noatak or Amon preached about bending only being used to exploit people, that there is a knowing power imbalance and that benders, no matter what, will always find a way to abuse those lower than them. But the irony being, he himself, a bender, is exploiting people for his own goals, and when his most loyal commander rebelled against him, he bloodbent him, he silenced him. And Tarlok, in a lot of the same ways, fell into that same trap. After everything their father put them through, Tarlok swore that he would never bloodbend again. He didn't want people to feel as helpless as he felt as a kid. But that's the same man who would later go on to forcibly arrest innocent people and bloodbend the Avatar in the council when they dare speak out against him. The sons of Yakon ended up falling into this cycle of abuse and ended up becoming the very same thing that their father tried to make them, and both of them never truly realized that until the very end. That is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is a Greek tragedy in and of itself. Living up to The Last Airbender was a hell of a task to do, especially considering it wasn't a guarantee if Korra was going to go past season 2. It did not put the show off to a good start. And while there are flaws, certain characterizations that are bland, a lack of a true falling action, and a lackluster final segment, Season 1 of Korra works as its own follow-up to The Last Airbender. In spite of what a lot of people on the internet will tell you, Korra is a worthy successor, and the world of Avatar continues its development without feeling like a dishonor to Aang's legacy. It's a new beginning to the Avatar series. And that's my look back on Season 1 of Legend of Korra. I'm looking forward to the rest of them. Honestly, I was excited to make this video because I really enjoyed watching through the first season. It's exciting to look back on this series as objectively as I can to at least try and see, okay, there is something to this show. Everything deserves a chance. This show at least has something to say. And I am so excited to look through this with you guys and let y'all know my thoughts. But if y'all enjoyed today's video, y'all know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments, what did you guys like about Season 1 of Korra? What was y'all's favorite memories of the show when it started out? Leave that down in the comments. I genuinely do want to know. And honestly, once again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys for 1K. I want to thank y'all for that. I did not know I was gonna get this far. I'm excited that I got this far because now my conquest can continue, But honestly, this video, this entire channel, everything I'm trying to do here, I want to thank y'all for giving me this opportunity. But for now, I must bid you all adieu, goodbye, mwah, good night, Sage out.